But basically what I am pointing out is this: we started with a battery size of this big, and in that meeting we said, well, it is possible to reduce the battery size by 35 to 40%, and as I pointed out, this has indeed happened over the last 3 years in India. Even for buses, they are consuming 1600 watt-hour per kilometer. Today they are consuming 900 watt-hour per kilometer. So this reduced the battery size. Now as it reduced the battery size, cost came down. They said yes, that will help, but even then it is high. We still need subsidy. So I said possibly, but let us see what else can be done. Why do you need such a large battery size? He said we need to go a certain range, maybe 150 kilometers. For an auto they say I want 150 kilometers, but typically I travel per day 120 kilometers, 125 kilometers. So I want 150 kilometers, and that will still cost quite a bit. That was true. Upfront cost was too much. So we came up with the idea that what if you reduce battery size? Smaller battery will cost less. Its weight will also come down. Weight comes down, the vehicle weight is coming down, your energy efficiency will further improve. You will be able to go even longer. But there is a problem that if I run out of battery, what will happen? If I cut the battery into 1/3 the size, 50 kilometer, then I will have trouble, because it takes a long time to charge the battery. Petrol I can fill in about 2-3 minutes. Battery takes a long time to charge, and therefore if I don't want range anxiety, I want 150 kilometer at least whole day. That's the time we came with another concept. Can we make public vehicles affordable by actually reducing the size, and instead of charging, once you run out in 50 kilometers, you go and stop and charge, that may take longer time. What if you swap battery? So what you do, you go to a place where charged batteries are already available. You give your discharged battery, put back your charged battery. Small battery, swap it. Can that be done? So you actually replace the battery in 2 minutes, maybe less. Same as filling petrol. Then your initial cost comes down like anything. You no longer have to buy a 150 kilometer range battery, 50 kilometer range battery. Then things will become much better. So, of course, the issue is swapping battery. I have to lift it, I have to put it in, connect it. Will the connector be reliable? See, those are all engineering challenges. I said you people are very good at meeting the engineering challenge. There are a little bit more objection, and then I actually told them about the story. Way back in 70s, 60s, all of us were using coal and wood for cooking all over the India. And that time this came gas, LPG. LPG can be used, it can much better. You don't have to depend on coal and wood. You can turn it on, turn it off also very easily. And it was done in the West, so we almost all the time look from the West. We sort of say, well, all that we need is take a gas pipeline to every home. Now, taking a gas pipeline to every home in India, large number of homes, making it reliable, making it leak proof, delivering exactly the gas when we need is a very, very difficult job. We have even seen the water pipes are so difficult. A large percentage of our homes still do not have water pipes. Gas is riskier also. The cost will be huge. Managing, maintaining, risk, everything will become very, very large. And then we'll sort of say, well, if that is so, we cannot use that. But using coal and wood is also not an option. That's a time it was basically something that emerged in India. What if I take a LPG gas cylinder and deliver it to your home? And now you use it. Once you run out of it, give back that cylinder, another cylinder comes in. The first question was asked, does Europe use it, United States use it? No. They are putting gas pipelines. There is no confidence that we can do it first, but somewhere a decision was taken that we can do it. Of course, they say it will be a huge, such heavy thing, who will lift it? But for last 50 years, we have been using that. Our gas cylinders are delivered, we take gas, it has worked very well. It has reached small towns, it has reached rural areas. What was talked about, is it going to be standardized? Well, somebody has to standardize it. Is it going to be risky? Well, it is risky. The gas cylinder is very risky. You have to do engineering to make it pakka. Today, it is one of the most reliable way of getting fuel at homes. So, this is the challenge, same challenge that was mounted. We still think, no, it is unsurmountable challenge and all that. But this is something that can help the country tremendously, swapping. And it was all kind of agreed to that time. The other problem is, if you have a battery and you have to charge it any time, and the temperature is very high, and when you are charging the battery at very high temperature, battery life goes down like anything. If you swap the battery, you take out the battery and you give it to somebody. Now, they can put it into a air conditioned environment and charge. You no longer are charging at 45 degrees centigrade. It can work very, very well. This was thought of, concept understood, it was kind of even approved, but somebody created problems in India. This meeting that I am talking about, 2017, this was by and large all agreed, all issues, industry said, but there are enough people who will create problems. Some industries do not want it, some vehicle manufacturers do not want it, various government officers say, okay, who else has done it in the world? I was one that was pushing it, and in fact, I was questioned. I tried to use all my technical reasons, economics reasons, still does not work. Finally, they decided not to use it. The government did not allow that. We kept on pushing, giving reasons. People illegally started using it. It made sense to some extent. Finally, in October 2020, one of the government departments came up and said, you can use swappable batteries, and battery swapping is valid. Then came, what about standard? That standard making is still going on, because there are people who still want to create problems. And in government's mind, I mean, this question, in fact, last week I was having a meeting, a very high level meeting, and people are saying 12 kg, who can lift? How much does the LPG gas cylinder way? Anyone knows?
32 kg.
Huh?
31, 32 kg.
I had to send a message to Dr. Kaushal. What size? Can we make it less weight? There are bottlenecks created. Finally, hopefully, we will standardize. There are other standardized people who come, big people who think that they have the best, they know everything about auto industry. This is no, it will be unreliable. LPG gas cylinder has been made reliable. Electric contact is much less problem as compared to a gas contact. Gas contact, even the smallest leakage can create a huge problem. Well, finally, hopefully it will be standardized. Some other countries started using it. In Taiwan, for example, it is now being used, and the idea had come from India. We should have been the leaders. Very often we lose out because we don't think India. In fact, if we used swapping, there is another interesting thing that we can do. We can say vehicle will be sold without battery. And battery will always be taken on rent. It's like a stove is purchased without the cylinder. Cylinder is always taken on rent. Even the first battery you will go to, you will sign up with somebody. So very much like your petrol pumps. You sign up with any BPCL. And BPCL has a swappable battery everywhere. You go and take the battery from them, return the battery whenever you are done, go to any BPCL petrol pump, return the battery, take another battery. It can become a battery swapping stations of BPCL. What will happen? The vehicle cost is without battery. Cost is lower than petrol vehicle. Battery, you are taking it only on rent to use, and usage cost of the battery becomes lower than, because your electricity cost is very low, usage cost is lower than petrol cost. In fact, even without subsidy, one could have made that lower cost. But vested interests keep stopping it, and now finally it is getting done. And then of course vehicles can be purchased in bulk, and there can be energy operators like BPs, like petrol pumps, can set it up on every street corner, and one could take that. It was an excellent program, actually emerged from us, our group at IIT Madras. We fought like anything. I really fought like anything in Delhi. Continue to, of course, backed out a bit, sort of the right things getting done is difficult. So basically this will make the capital cost lower than petrol vehicle cost, and operation cost also lower. Would have been ideal, and India should have taken off. Its two-wheeler industry, three-wheeler industry should have shot up like anything. Approach 2. A question was asked to me saying this is fine for 50 kilometer in auto was okay, because they typically travel 120 kilometers. Twice in a day they have to do swapping. They are traveling all the time from one place to another. They come near a battery swapping station, they will go and swap. But if I am owning my personal vehicle, I don't want to go to a petrol pump every day or a swapping station every day, whether it is a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. So let me take an example. So what do you do? For example, Tesla is designed with 540 kilometers. You put it, you don't have to worry about charging it ever, forget about swapping. Of course, the weight of that battery is huge, and therefore energy it consumes is huge, but they can afford it. That is the reason Tesla is doing it. Smaller battery will cost range anxiety. As I was pointing out, these batteries don't charge fast. You can charge fast, but then the battery life goes down, or you need a higher cost battery, and particularly if the temperature gets worse, it can get all worse. So what is the option? for a private vehicle. I don't want to go to 50 kilometer battery is not good enough for me, not for my car, even for my two-wheeler I am not going to accept it. Then we sort of said, well, why can't my vehicle have two batteries? Take a car, it has two batteries, one battery plus one battery. One battery is permanently there, but I use it, it's only for, let's say, 100 kilometer. Now question is that 100 kilometer, is it enough? And we start asking question, how often do we travel more than 100 kilometer in a day? It can be now charged overnight. We can make it easy. How often do I travel more than 100 kilometer a day? 3, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times a year, maybe 12, 15 times a year. Now, the day I want to travel, I know that I have to travel longer distance. So, I have my 100 kilometer always charged every morning. The day I want to travel longer, I go to a battery swapping station and I take a second battery, I call it a range extender battery. And that day I have now 100 kilometers plus 100 kilometers. So, I have 200 kilometers, I should be able to do it quite well. The second battery I am renting it out, end of the day or next day I will return it. I am not paying for that battery. I pay for small battery 100 kilometer in a car. For a two-wheeler I will do it for 50 kilometer. I will have a 50 kilometer, most days I do not travel more than 50 kilometers, good enough. The day I want to travel I will take a second battery. The question comes, what if I am going from here to Bangalore, Chennai to Bangalore, it is more than 200 kilometers. Well, the second battery is swappable battery. First battery is a fixed permanent battery 100 kilometer. I have taken a battery, so if I am driving to Bangalore, suppose BPCL is my swapping station, I go to BPCL station while driving out, take a second battery, drive out. I travel 130, 140 kilometers, 150 typically anyway, I stop over, maybe have a cup of tea. That is the time I stop over. I first use the range extender battery, the one that I borrowed from BPCL. That would have been exhausted by now. I go and swap that. I will be able to do that in a few minutes. By the time I am having a cup of tea or something like that, even that much time is not required. Now I can travel another 100 kilometers. So, I have got already to 300 kilometers. So, if I can manage to reach my destination in 300 kilometers, fine, otherwise once again I will swap that range extender battery. So, I am paying only for my 100 kilometer battery, my cost will be low. For a two-wheeler I am paying only for my 50 kilometer battery, personal vehicle, 50 kilometer I will always take it on demand. In fact, I can travel, if I want to just travel all the time without break, 2-3 minutes to swap the battery, I can travel 1000 kilometers. That is a range extender. So, India requires swappable battery and range extender battery. And there will be swapping operators like petrol pumps all over, which actually will be doing this. Approach 3 is a conventional approach. Well, if you can afford, buy a large battery, maybe 200 kilometer, rarely travel more than 200 kilometer, slow charge normally, once in a while I can fast charge. So, if I have a 200 kilometer battery, I charge it overnight, slow charge, I do not have to worry about it. Most in the city I am unlikely to travel more than 200 kilometer. When I go out to Bangalore, on the way I probably have to charge, I will do what is called fast charge. This can be done in about an hour, 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. I will go have my lunch or something like that, and that can be charged. And one charge and I will be in Bangalore. This of course will impact the life of the battery, but I am doing it how often? Only when I am traveling to Bangalore, not very often. So, probably even 15 times a year, does not matter. other 300 days I am doing it slow charge. So, it will not get impacted very much. So, I can do fast charge. Now, normal charging will be at home, public charging will be at some public places. The question is, does the charger and batteries need standardization? Do swappable battery needs standardization? This is a question which we will answer as we go on in my charging and swapping chapter. We need some standardization and that is what is needed. Okay.